Hello and welcome to another video via Top Gamer. This is Xplane 11. We're doing another landing challenge today. So we're in Courchevel in France. This has got a very well-known, sneezing a little bit there. This has got a very well-known airport for being a difficult airport to land on and having a short runway. So I'm currently in a Cessna. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly alongside it to give you a bit of a view. As you can see, looking around, there's a lot of mountainous area, which is what makes it particularly difficult. Now the airport itself, or the airstrip itself, only supports small aircraft like this one. Really, you wouldn't get any airliners going to it because it's not that big at all. I mean, it's under 2,000 feet in length. So what I've done is I've downloaded the ortho scenery for it, just to make it look a little bit prettier than the basic kind of khaki Xplane kind of scenery. And you can kind of see, I was just pulling out the airspeed there so you can kind of see what we're looking at. I mean, the way the Cessna works on the airspeed, everything in the green is positive lift. Just below that where the white is for flaps, and anything lower than that last line is essentially you're going to be stalling. But we're flying around. The one thing the ortho scenery has done which is wrong is it's created that lip at the end. Now the runway would normally stop just where the top of the end of those white lines are, so it wouldn't actually curve down it wouldn't slope down like that. It would just come to a complete end as a ramp going slightly up. But as you can see, we're flying over it, so you get an idea of how short that runway physically is. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to land this, and we're going to do a 737 landing and a 747 as well, and see if we can get them landed down. So what I'm going to do is swing the Cessna around and then just land this down. It's not going to be anything too glamorous because it is literally just to get it down. The initial Cessna was just to show you a quick flyby and a little look around the actual airport itself. So you can have a look and see what it looks like. And so what we'll do is swing it round, get it to drop down. But you'll see from landing this is in perfect conditions as well, so there's no wind whatsoever. And you'll be able to see from this that actually it's still very difficult to land it and stop it in time, even on here. So those big thick white points is roughly where they want you to touch down, is around between them. So yeah, so there we go, we've managed to touch down, come to a landing. What I'm going to do is show you a quick replay of that as well, so you can physically see the landing and you'll be able to see it coming in. So you'll have to excuse the camera because the tower cam on here goes actually inside the camera, the tower, and when you're in there you can't actually see the plane, so I have to do it a bit manually. I do find a way a bit later on to actually counteract that, but there you go. So you can see we've landed down, nice soft touchdown, and then came to a stop with plenty of the runway to spare, but you can tell from that it isn't really designed for anything really massive. So yeah, so what we're going to do, we're switching into the 737 now. This is the Zibo 737-800, and I'm going to come in full flaps, get the landing gear down, and I'm putting max air brakes on as well, or speed brakes, so when it lands the spoilers are going to come up and give me as much to try and slow us down as possible. And I'm also going to obviously put the reversers on when I'm landing. Now you can hear the pull up, that's command coming through. That's because obviously we're in a mountainous ridge and it's picking up that we've got terrain all around us, so it's telling us we need to pull up or we're going to crash into that mountain. Chances are we're going to be crashing into that mountain regardless, because I'm not expecting this to go well straight away. If I land this perfectly first time, I'm going to be impressed with myself, but it is also probably going to make a bit of a boring video. But we're going to try it.
Short runway.
Telling us that it's a short runway. I've also put the minimum amount of fuel possible so that weight doesn't cause any issue, because we are going to be doing a hard landing. There's physically no way of getting out of a hard landing here, because there's a bump right in the middle. So this is too long, so we're not making this for anything. Look at that, we've bounced, and yeah, okay. We've bounced and gone smashed straight into the side of that hill on the just at the edge. Just have a look at the replay. That's what makes this so difficult, because you've got to stop before you get to the end. Otherwise, you smash into that little wall at the end. We need to land a lot earlier than that. We've got to make it so we land right at the start. But yeah, so you can see that was a pretty disastrous landing, to say the least. Let's try this again. So we need to land literally not right when the weather strip starts, because obviously it curves down, but as soon as it hits the flat bit, that's where we need to land. Now, the one thing we've got to watch out for is it does have a hump part way down the runway, and coming from this direction it shoots you back up, and obviously at the speed we're going at, that's going to cause extra lifted point where we're going to kind of come back off the ground. So the idea is we need to land, get the reversers on, and either counteract being flung back up, or make sure that we slow down enough that it stops us from physically flying over the end. So we're coming back in. My thoughts are, for us to physically do it, because looking at the amount of speed we went in last time, my thoughts are to try and make it as slow as possible coming in. So I almost want to go down and then pull up at the last minute and get us to a state of stall, and then by doing that it'll cause us to jump down. Like I say, we're not going to get anything other than a hard landing if we're going to try and get it down early enough to get there, but it should slow us down enough. There we go. Oh no, we've bounced again. 500 it should do us enough to stop it. That's the only way we're going to stop. No, okay, so that was a better landing, but, and as you can see, we didn't quite get to the top of the hill when we hit it, but we still smacked into it, so that's us dead and everybody else in it dead. It's not a landing you're going to want to be on. It's probably a good job we're using the Ryanair livery, because it probably is about right. If we look at the replay, that landing was almost perfect, but as you can see, because of the lip at the end, it suddenly ducked slightly. So although we were so close to touching it there, we physically, it kind of went away from us slightly, so we ended up actually floating for a bit longer than we wanted to in the air, so we need to get that a bit better. But we did roll back onto the airport, so, you know, onto the runway, so I'd like to say that's better than the last one. Okay, so attempt number 3. Hopefully this one will be a bit more successful than the last one. So yeah, so again, we're pushing down as fast as we can, because the reason for that is it's going to give us more speed to begin with, but then what I can do is pull up at the last minute, lead off all that speed, and the idea is, even if we flare it a bit too much, because the speed will drop off, it'll keep us going down onto the actual runway, so we won't suddenly do what we did there where we floated for a bit longer because it pulled away, because we're going to have to lift up, otherwise we're going to damage the front landing gear. So we need it to almost stall, so no matter how the dip in the runway is, if we fall, we carry on going down even while flaring. And that's the difficult thing, or for me it is anyway, on this particular length runway with the way it is.
400.
So here we go, coming in.
Long landing. Long
and
landing.
that was a bit of a hard landing.
We've
gone up, but we have got the reversers on.
100 remaining.
No, still not enough. Again, we've crashed into it. I actually think this one's worse than the last one. Look, we've got the flames, the smoke. Yeah, nobody's getting away from that one. But yeah, you can see we pulled up. So I went down, then we pulled up at the last minute. Let's see where the landing is. Again, you can see the landing's not too bad, but again, it was that hump there that caught us out, and you can see we come off the ground for another probably, not necessarily a third, but you know, a little bit of that runway. And because it's so short, anytime you're not in the air, not on the ground, the brakes aren't working. And God knows why those flames were shooting so far up there like they were, but for some reason they decided to shoot right above the plane. But we landed better. We've just got to try and stop that bounce part way across, because that's what's stopping us from slowing down quicker. So I think if we could actually touch down a little bit earlier, we might be able to build enough speed that when we get to that hump, we won't kind of bunny hop off again, because obviously the wheel brakes and the spoilers aren't doing as good a job when it's like that. So here we go for the 4th attempt. Maximum Flaps again, gear down, putting onto max brakes for auto brakes. I know there's terrain, I'm trying to land on it. That's the point of this episode. But you can now see why you don't get 737s landing here, and especially 747s. So here we go. Oh, too long.
Long landing. 1.
Well, we've landed after the hump, and it's way too late. We're goodbye, cruel world. Right, so let's see this one again. We're not having much luck here. I'm determined. I've seen people land it, so I know it can land, and I'm determined to get it to land. But yeah, look, see, all of a sudden I've got that second bit of lift, and that really screwed us over there because I was going too fast. I just had too much speed coming in. Reverses came on, but we landed so late into it, that little bit of lift, and we just couldn't bleed the speed off quick enough. We need to get rid of that a lot sooner. So here we go, try again. We will get there. I'll tell you now, if I can't land this, there's absolutely no way I'm landing that 747. We're still going to try regardless what happens on this, but if I can't land it, then
approaching.
Yeah,
2, 3, 1,000.
it's going to be an interesting one. It'll be interesting to see how much harder the 747 is. So here we go, we're coming in. There's a bit of a crosswind on this one for some reason, so this is causing us a bit of issue. And you can see we kind of got a bit of too much speed and lift going
short
there.
Runway,
I'm trying something different because I'm trying to see if I can get it to flare properly. But the problem being is trying to get down low enough and bleed the speed off without stalling is quite difficult. So this one's looking better. That landing's better.
1,000 remaining.
Okay, oh, another bit of a hop, but can we stop it? We've got the reverses are on full.
Remaining.
Oh, hello. There you go, look at that. Bloody hell, we managed to stop it. Just, but we did manage it. Oh, I'm happy about that. Get a parking brake on so we don't suddenly roll forwards. And then ruin it just by rolling into it. But yeah, literally, we made it right to the end. I mean, if you look at that, we've got a bit more leeway to go, but that was much better. Now, if we watch the replay, you can see we sink it down really badly, and then I pull up, which pulls off all the speed. We end up stalling, and we landed right on the brand. You can see because of the way the uneven ground is, it was bouncing us up a few times. But because we landed so early, meant I could flip the reversers on and get the spoilers out. So we counteracted the second hump before we got to it, which is why it was only a small amount. That is what done it there. So yeah, so we've managed to land this one. Let's get into this 747 and give this one a go. I'm actually really impressed we managed to land that.
Caution.
Took a bit of time. What you don't know is there was a few which I didn't put in there, so it actually took me more attempts than just that to get it done. But I didn't put them all in because otherwise this would be a ridiculously long video, and it'd just be a video of Sam crashing a 737. So we go. We got gear down. We got to put the auto brakes on for as high as they can go. Flaps at maximum. Oh, we've got a bit of a crosswind and it's pushing us away from the runway, so I'm kind of counteracting that as I can. This one's going to be even harder because of how high up you sit in the 747. You've got to realise the runway is closer to the bottom than it looks when you land, and it does catch me out so many times, even on normal airstrips, because I'm used to the 737 height. Right, here we go. Oh, as you can see there, so we've literally just smashed straight into it. Wow, we kind of stopped on the runway. I don't know if that counts or not. Yeah, we've crashed, all the instruments have gone off, and nobody would have survived it. But we didn't go off the end. Yeah, you can see how much we just slammed straight into the side. We've got all the engines on fire. Oh, they've gone down. Yeah, gears collapsed. Yeah, that was not a pretty landing. But we did land on the airfield. So, you know, win-win, maybe. You know, minor win. I might take that.
2, 3,
we'll try that again.
So we're going to go. Available.
Try and see if we can improve on that. But that was what I was talking about. It caught me out because I'm used to the seating position on a 737. So when I get in a 747, because of how much higher you sit, because obviously it's a double-deck aircraft and also generally just taller, and you're sitting right on the top, it means you've got so much more beneath you, and because of that, it means you've got more chance of actually slamming into the ground when you're not used to it, because you hit the ground earlier than you think you would do, or especially when you're used to something like a 737 or an Airbus A320 or something like that. But anyway, so we're coming in again. It's a little bit easier to control this time. We've got the spoilers armed, we've got the auto brakes on, so landing gears down. So we're going to give this a go. Come down. I'm trying to take it a bit higher so it doesn't do so much. Oh, we have clipped it, but I think... Are we going to land it?
500 remaining.
Go on, stop. Oh, it's looking pretty good.
100
come on.
remaining. Caution on taxiway.
Bugger.
On taxiway.
No, so we didn't quite make that. We were close. I actually don't think the reverse is opened when I'm looking down at that. Looking down at the pedestal and the thrust levers. They look like they were still down. So let's have a look at this replay. We're coming down. You can see I'm trying to bleed off as much speed by pulling it up as much as possible. Again, we're trying to get it into a stall state just before touchdown. We landed on the perfect point. That was exactly where we needed to land. But yeah, as suspected, if you look at the engines, all the reverses are closed. So we had no reverse thrust. It was only brakes happening. And there's no way a bird of this size is going to stop on that distance without any assistance from the reverses. You know when they're open, because essentially on the Boeings, the engines separate, so you get like a little gate that opens up on the engines. You'll see it hopefully in one of the other replays when we do it, or you might have seen it on the 737. But yeah, we technically went back onto the runway, so you know, again, another minor victory. That one was probably a better minor victory than the other one, because some of the passengers would have survived that one. So yeah, I was toying with trying to put the localizer on it here to try and get the glide scope, see if it would give me a glide scope. Obviously I wasn't expecting it to, but I thought I'd try it and see. And then I realised I didn't actually have time to program in the nav data to get it to
Caution,
show
short
up, and I
runway,
don't actually
short
know if it
runway.
would have one, because it's not meant for airliners. Because of that, I haven't really been paying so much attention to the approach. But we're going to try and come in. So we've got the flaps full, the auto brakes on. So we're coming in. We're a bit higher than normal, but again, got to take into account how far up we are. We've landed pretty high up.
Remaining. Caution.
Hang on a minute.
On
For some
taxiway.
reason, we're
On
pulling to the left,
taxiway.
no matter how much I try and steer it the other way. So we've taken out the tower, all the other helicopters. One helicopter survived. So, you know, we didn't take everything out, but pretty much 90% of the airport now is just lying to waste. Okay, that will be why. Forgot to put the landing gear down. Now this is why you always run off a procedure and checklist, because I've landed that, no landing gear, which is why I had no steering. It's dragged me across. I've taken the tower out, the fuel tanks, one of the hangars, and all of the helicopters there. So yeah, this is why there's a procedure, because if you forget something like that,
3, 1,000,
yeah, you're not going to get a great landing. So yeah, so we've definitely made sure. You can see in the bottom right now, there's a little green light above one of the bars. That's telling me that the landing gear is down. And obviously the switch just to the right of that is the landing gear, and that's telling me it's down as well. Or at least I've told it to go down. So hopefully this one won't end as bad as the last one. Well, that's what we're hoping for anyway. I think this is going to be my final attempt anyway.
Caution, short runway, short runway.
I've been doing this for a long time now, trying to get this one down. I haven't shown them all, because this particular plane, if you get a hard landing, it kind of freezes for a second and then carries on. So I didn't add those ones in, because obviously then you'd be looking at a plane where it looks like it's crashed. Not just the plane, but the actual simulator as well. So anyway, so this is the final attempt. Let's try and make this a good one. So we're pulling up, trying to bleed off the speed. Landing gears down this time, which is good.
Long landing.
We've landed early, hard but early.
1,000 remaining.
I can hear the reverses on. We've got the brakes on. We're going forward. Come on.
Caution.
Oh,
taxiway.
still not
on
up.
taxiway.
I honestly don't think I could land it better than that. So we're coming in. And going to try it again. So yeah, so we're coming in. I actually think this is probably the best I'm going to be able to do. Pulling up, and There we go. Oh, we landed on the perfect spot there. That would have even taken off some of the speed. But again, the reversers are open. You can see the engines are open, but just not enough. This runway's just not long enough to get this bird down. But yeah, so that's us trying to do a land challenge. We managed to get the 737 down, which is good. Obviously, the Cessna landed. The next one I've got is coming up on Monday, and it's a little bit different. That one's going to be a takeoff challenge from this airport. So it's going to be a similar video, but a takeoff challenge. And we're going to try it with the 747, the 737. Again, we're going to try to do a Cessna. We're going to try to do something a little bit different and see if we can get a Cessna to take off vertically as well without using any runway. So something to look out for. That's going to be on Monday. I've been Carrot Top Gamer. If you have enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe and get the bell on to notify you of any future videos I have coming out. I also now live stream on Twitch on generally Tuesdays, Wednesdays, sometimes Fridays and Saturdays as well, depending on my schedule, but definitely Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.